Hi everyone, I'm Darin, Fairuza, Nafisah. I'm sorry I can't attend the class because my health condition is still improving. So here's the evaluations analysis of the Somalia versus Canada. The Somalia remains one of the world's most fragile states, with the international innovation struggling to achieve sustainable improvement due to the deep-rooted issues in governance, security, and economic development capacity. The Canada involvement in Somalia, notably the peacekeeping missions in the early 90s, was intended to provide humanitarian relief, restore order, but the merit by the Somali affair, which revealed a serious failing to the military conduct and the leadership. The Somalia affair had lasting consequences on Canada, leading to significant reforms in military oversight, ethic, and civil-military relations. The trade relations between the two countries are minimal and declining, reflecting the vast gap in economic development and capacity for the effective international engagement in fragile state like Somalia requires a focus on building the legitimate authority, capacities, and the inclusive governance, rather than relying solely on the military or short-term humanitarian interventions. And here's the comparison table, the aspect between Somalia and Canada. The political stability. Somalia has a highly fragile state. Their persistent civil conflict, weak central governance, and the ongoing threats by al-Shabaab. The governance has limited authority outside the capitals and face a lot of challenge in legitimacy and capacity. While Canada had a stable democracy, they had strong and established democratic institutions with high levels of legitimacy, authority, and capacity, with the consistent rule of the law and effective governance. In the security aspect, Somalia has chronic insecurity, a very weak security institutions, reliance on international peacekeeping, and frequent violence. The security sector's lack of capacity and legitimacy is undermining to the public trust. While Canada has a robust security, they have very well-trained professional military and law enforcement agency. Canada is a contributed to international peacekeeper, not a recipient. While in the economic development sectors, Somalia has a very underdeveloped economic output, very low, with a total of export by 1.3 billion in 2023. The main exports to Canada are the limited and declining, with essentials oil and the crustaceans as primary goods. While Canada have a highly developed economy, Canada ranks 10th globally in export, with 574 billion in 2023, with a diversified and a complex economic sector. In international relations sector, Somalia aid recipients and interventions target. Somalia has been the focus of multiple international interventions, including the UN and the Canadian peacekeeping missions aimed at humanitarians and state building. While Canada is the aid donor and the peacekeeper, Canada provides the humanitarian aid and participates in peacekeeping, including the controversial Somali missions in the 19th. And in human rights and governance sectors, there are a significant challenge in Somalia. They have weak rule of law, reports of extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests, and the poor civilians-military relations. International involvement has sometimes exacerbated these issues if not carefully managed. While Canada has strong protections, Canada generally upholds the high human rights standard, but its involvement in Somalia led to the Somali affair, exposing the leaderships and ethical values in the Canadian armed force and prompting the major reforms. The lesson learned aspect. Somalia has fragility drivers that weak governance, poor security, and slow economic growth are the main obstacle in this country. International aid is often ineffective without addressing this root cause. While the Canada has institutional change, the Somalia missions exposed the systematic problems in military leaderships and accountability, leading to reform in civil-military relations and the officer training. Comparisons between the Somalia and Canada is highly the stark contrast in state capacity, economic development, and governance, as well as the complexities and the risks of the international peacekeeping in fragile contexts. Canada's experience in Somalia will serve as a cautionary tale about the importance of ethical leaderships, accountability, and understanding the local dynamics when engaging abroad. That's all for me. The next slide will be represented by my friends. Thank you.